Whenever I peel an orange, in memoriam, JW. It's 1:30 a.m. or so, and a little while ago I ate a banana. I got up from the kitchen table and dropped the peeling into the trash can, then ate an orange that I peeled all in a long continuous strip, and dropped that in the trash too. The orange, like all oranges, was tart and burned my dry winter lips a little when I ate it. Whenever I peel an orange that way, I think of this guy I used to know at my job who was a nice guy, but on the opposite end of the spectrum from me politically. He used to peel his oranges, then hang the skin on the wall of his cubicle. I never asked him about it, but guessed he did that because there was always only one fresh orange peel spiral hanging from his cubicle wall. He was a guy who believed in a literal interpretation of the Bible, however it was that his preacher happened to literally interpret it. So he'd get visibly angry sometimes when we talked, and I would say stuff that I knew would piss him off, just to see him get all flustered, see his eyes narrow a bit, shoulders hunch, or sometimes he would draw back, look down his nose at me, like he was examining a dangerous species of insect before he found some way to crush it. Even though he was weird that way, I always kind of liked him, maybe because he was an old farm kid from far out in the central part of Nebraska, and I was an old farm kid from even farther out in western Nebraska. Only I maybe fell in with a crazy crowd and smoked dope and dropped acid in the Navy, while he walked the straight and narrow in the Army and held on to all those homegrown values. He was a master with the copy machine. I, the kind of person makes them jam up just by walking by one. So one day I asked him how he knew so much about copy machines. He kind of swelled up with pride, said he'd been some kind of printing technician in the Army. But there at our job he had a hard time adjusting to changes, and our job was always changing, thanks to cuts in funding and a general overall attitude of contempt for the poor our right-wing governor had in the redneck state we lived in and worked for. I was the guy's boss, so I knew the tough time he had adjusting, and I knew how he bucked the system his own way by trying to continue using all the old ways because they were better. One time before he got sick, he told me he was having trouble with his son. He was worried about him, who kept getting towed at his apartment because he wouldn't buy a sticker or something goofy like that. I felt queasy he would confide in me about anything, especially his son, though it seems like he was just making dumb mistakes, nothing major like meth or addictions to something else, like my kid that I'd never shared with him, and never would have. I thought his kid was being stupid, but didn't say that and listened father to father, as though he was telling me something truly shocking. I told him, "Tell your kid, buy the freaking permit," and he had, but there was some excuse. That's the closest we ever got. I never could figure out why he talked to me about it. It was a closeness that I'd never felt we either one had earned. He was diabetic and overweight, but always ate carefully, low carb, took a walk in the lunch hour to keep his weight down. Explained to me how diabetics can't burn up carbs like normal. He always said, "Be careful," as a way to send you off at the end of the day, when most people would say, "See you tomorrow," or "Be good." One angry client took it wrong one time and I had to defuse him. What did he mean by that? Be careful. Was that a threat? The last time I saw him, he was heading out for the weekend, had on a pair of shooter's goggles, made me think somehow of James Dickey, though I never told him because I would have had to explain. I talked to his wife on the phone because she called in to say he'd be out for tests, or for another 2 weeks, or that he'd be back, or that they've got to do some more surgery, or that he wasn't coming back. He's the last guy I thought would die out of all the people I've worked with who smoked cigarettes, drank sodas, ate junk, and never exercised. On a routine visit, it was the dentist who spotted the lesion. I think of him every time I peel an orange, whether I can get that one continuous strip going or not. No matter if I'm at home or work, peeling an orange for breakfast, or like tonight, alone in the kitchen, waiting out stuff. I think of him and wonder which one of us was right, or if there is such a thing as right or wrong, whether he deserved to die, if God was watching over him and me, and if he let me live on to think of him somehow, to keep him alive that way. Why, at past, we came to work together, and if I had been the first to die, is there anything he would have remembered me by?